that's the reservoir. See? People jog around it. Even in this weather. Crazy people. I should know, I'm one of them. Christmas Day, hurricanes, monsoons, we're out there. Will thinks we're all insane. He says he watches us through that telescope and laughs and laughs. Well, I can see his point. You know, from up here, we must look like obsessive insects just making our appointed rounds. Except that's all they are, is just rounds. You know, we're not getting anywhere in the circle of fitness that other people aren't. We all end up in the same place. Will would say that's a metaphor and why he laughs. Will's a writer. Are you sure I can't take your coat for you, Mrs. Gerard?
I'm not staying.
That view is pretty mesmerizing. I still pinch myself at least twice a day. The greatest city in the world, and it's right there. All I have to do is look. It's mine for the taking. Andre would have loved this view. As they say about London, a man who would grow tired of this is a man tired of life. Can I get you anything?
I'm fine, thank you.
This will amuse you, interest you, anyway. Directly across the park from us is a legendary apartment house, 1040 Fifth Avenue, just by the museum. Do you see the obelisk? That's Cleopatra's Needle. Well, not really, that's just what they call it. To the right of that is the Metropolitan Museum of Art. The Met. Or the other Met. You see, to a West Sider, and you are on the West Side, the Met means the Metropolitan Opera. To an East Sider, it means the Metropolitan Museum. Now, if you don't know this, an out-of-towner can end up looking at a Rembrandt instead of listening to Turandot. Anyway, I'm getting all tangled up in Manhattan arcana here. We have a very good view of 1040 Fifth Avenue. That is where Jackie lived. Jackie O. Mrs. Onassis. Mrs. Kennedy?
I know who you're talking about.
Andre would have loved having it for a view. He worshipped her.
Didn't we all?
Can't you just see him waking up every morning and bounding to the window, waving across the park to her, "Bonjour, Jackie, ça va aujourd'hui?" Oh, it would have been a ritual. Thought that might amuse you.
Very little amuses me, Mr. Porter.
It was an unfortunate word choice, I'm sorry. And please, it's Cal.
Who lives there now?
I don't know, rich Republicans, I suspect. Since Mrs. Kennedy died, I don't think anyone knows or cares who lives at 1045th.
I'm sure the people who live there do. How long have you had this place?
Oh, it's getting on to 9 years now.
The last address I had for you was on Perry Street.
85 Perry. That was a century ago. It was one room in the basement that had the building's only access to the furnace, which was always breaking down. We were quite friendly with the building super that first winter. Things got better after Perry Street, not much. We were young, poor, ready to take this city on. We were ready for anything. Oh yeah, we thought we were ready for anything. Are you sure I can't take your coat for you?
I'm fine. I will let you know when I'm not. I just stopped by on the chance you might be here.
Oh, somebody usually is. As I said, Will's a writer, and on weekends we are pretty much just homebodies.
I got the address from your sister.
Penny? You've kept in touch?
No, well, Christmas cards. She also gave me your unlisted phone number. But if you went to the trouble of having an unlisted telephone number, I'm sure it was to avoid having calls from people like me.
Oh, no, never know. I'm very glad to see you. Unlisted phone numbers are a New York fetish. Everyone has one. Our cleaning woman, the doorman, the super. You know, one winter night, Andre and I had locked ourselves out. There was no one we could call who might have a key. None of them had a listed number. We were frozen by the time we got back in.
Growing up, I used to daydream about a view like this.
Where was that?
Rye.
Rye, New York?
Oh, it's a small town, more of an enclave, really, in Westchester.
No, I know Rye. It's right next to Portchester, which is definitely not an enclave. I even know Rye Brook. I dated someone from Rye Brook. He never let me forget it. You know Mrs. Kennedy, and I know Rye. Are you sure I can't get you something in this weather to warm you up?
Before it's too dark, where's the place where we
You
had
mean the memorial?
Can you see it from here?
Do you see that bridge? That's the Bow Bridge. Just to the right of that is a lovely smallish lawn area. A lovely smallish lawn area 9 months out of the year. This isn't one of them. It leads down to a duck pond. You see it?
I remember the ducks. They had a lot to say for themselves that day.
You would have thought it was too cold to quack. It was 12 degrees.
No.
Coldest day in years.
I've never been so cold.
We all stood there in a circle and spoke.
I was the only one who didn't.
I'm sure you weren't.
No, it didn't matter. Your friends said everything that could possibly be said. They were very impressive. I didn't know Andre had so many friends and how eloquent they were. Some of them were quite funny.
Well, we were attracted to people with a sense of humor.
Personally, I thought the story about the two of you in a swimming pool in Mexico was a little risque. At least for my taste it was. Blue humor and funerals are not something I'm accustomed to.
Wasn't a funeral, Mrs. Gerard.
You know what I meant. The music at the church set such a serious and thoughtful tone, almost spiritual. I wasn't prepared for the transition to naked men in a swimming pool filled with gardenias.
Was pretty funny.
I guess you had to be there.
Well, in this case, I am very glad you weren't.
I couldn't get that one piece of music out of my head, the one the young woman sang at the church. I even went to a record shop and tried humming it for the clerk. Nada.
Oh,
He looked at me like I was crazy.
You should have asked. It was one of our favorites. A little-known opera by Mozart, Il Re Pastore, the Shepherd King. L'amero sarò costante. I will be constant in my love for him. I'll write it down for you. That same young woman is singing at the Met now, and quite successfully. Andre always predicted a big future for her. That, Cal, he would say, is a star.
If there are perfect moments, that was one of them. I was disappointed to see the rest of the service descend to jokes.
It wasn't a service either, Mrs. Gerard. It was a remembrance of someone we loved and would miss. We still do.
Well, except for the Mozart. Maybe it was all a little too gay for my taste.
There was some Shakespeare, too. But except for that and some Bach and my sister, my father, and you and our dentist, our jury was still out on him at the time. It has since come in. Gay as a goose. Yeah, you know, I guess it was pretty gay.
I never understood that expression, gay as a goose.
Neither did I.
Is that...
What? Where?
It looks like some sort of amphitheater.
Ah, that's called the Delacorte Theater. Free Shakespeare in the park. With the windows open in the summer, we can hear them.
Is that where Andre would...
Yes, where he played Horatio that summer of 80 what? 8, 9?
I didn't come up that summer. His father wasn't well.
It was the same summer he played Hamlet himself at another outdoor amphitheater in Washington, D.C. They were almost back to back.
Where are you going?
You know, the poster is in the hallway. I'm going to check.
No, that's all right. There's no need to... It gets dark so early this time of year and so fast. There's no dusk. It goes from day to night before you realize it. There's no transition. Well, I was just saying, I almost missed this wonderful view of the park.
Oh, well, I'm glad you didn't. 1989, August 10, September 3. There is no place hotter on earth than an outdoor amphitheater in Washington, D.C. in late summer.
Yes, there is. Dallas, Texas.
Well, it's starting to show its age. They didn't print it on the best stock.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
you might have warned me.
Do you want to sit down?
No, that is not
I
necessary.
think that you should.
Thank you.
I should have realized.
What were you thinking?
I wasn't thinking.
We were talking, and then all of a sudden, just like that, there he was.
I am so sorry.
It's all right. It's all right.
I've forgotten how much I love this poster. Pictures hanging in hallways don't really get looked at that often. People are on their way someplace else. It's kind of a non-place that way. I'd often thought about sending it along to you. I never got around to it. I was being selfish. There was a time it made me very happy every time I looked at it. Of course, there was a time it made me quite sad as well. It captures so much about his personality, his vitality for sure, his passion. He was such an urgent person.
Yes, he was.
He's still the best Hamlet I've ever seen. We were both sorry you missed it.
All right. I'm ready now.
Are you sure?
We'll see.
No, we don't have to do this.
I know. Oh. It's him, all right.
Well, it was taken when Hamlet is crying, "Vengeance!" It was his favorite part of the play. Vengeance! Sword in hand. Well, the photographer captured him in his full Andre splendor. Talk about eyes that blaze. He's not too hard to look at either. I believe the phrase is "one handsome devil." Our boy asked me once, "Is that an old-time pirate?" "No, honey," I said. "That is a wonderful Hamlet on his way to becoming a great one." Which is far more information than any 4-year-old needs or cares for.
Your boy?
We have a son. My sister didn't tell you. That's all right. She didn't tell me that you'd been in touch all these years. I don't think he's looked at it once ever since. When we first met, I thought Will might have a problem with it, but he's been fine.
Will?
My husband.
Of course, you told me that.
Our son is Bud. He's 6 years old. That's his real name. It's not a nickname for anything. I always loved Bud for a boy. Now it's got some gravitas. It's on his birth certificate, Bud Ogden Porter.
Ogden Porter?
That's my husband's last name, Ogden, Will Ogden.
How easily you say that word. Husband.
Nope, no, not at first. Ugh. The first couple of times I tried to use it, nothing came out. Yeah. I would say, this is my Wait, you're who? This is my I had gotten so used to saying boyfriend or partner all those years when marriage wasn't even a thought, let alone a possibility, that it took me a while to realize that we had won and our relationship was just as legitimate as everyone else's. Andre would have called that internalized homophobia.
I'll pretend I know what that means.
It means that you've become so accustomed to not being loved because of who you are that you've become adept at not loving yourself because of who you are.
I'll still pretend.
Andre and I were what people called boyfriends back then, partners. Lovers was another word people used. We didn't like any of them. Boyfriends sounded like teenagers, partners sounded like a law firm, lovers just sounded illicit. You know, they all seemed inconsequential, inadequate. Then along came the new but old and obvious word for it. Husband. Who would have thought that I would come to like husband? I actually kind of love it. Spouse still makes me a little queasy. It's too gender neutral and seems either dishonest or embarrassed about the whole marriage thing. Husband cuts to the chase. Have you met my husband? My husband and I would like a season subscription. The reservations are under my husband's name.
This has been very informative, Mr. Porter.
You do realize that husband wasn't a possibility back then. Now, your son called me Cal and I called him Andre.
Well, I should hope so. It was his name, chosen with a great deal of care.
I may have snuck in a honey or two over the years.
I don't like nicknames. Andre is a challenge to people who insist on them.
Well, you succeeded. He was always Andre.
I did something right then.
Andre was a wonderful person, Mrs. Gerard. Everyone liked him.
This Mr. Your...
Ogden. Will Ogden.
Are you going to tell him our little secret?
I did not know we had one.
This visit.
Of course I'll tell him. We don't have any secrets.
Everyone has secrets.
We don't.
That's wonderful.
Why would this be a secret in the first place?
I was giving you an option.
An option not needed. We are always off to a bad start.
Will you tell him I'm sorry I missed him?
Well, they're just at the park. They'll be back any minute. I'd like you to meet them.
It's getting late.
Well, the days are short. You said so yourself.
Yeah,
It's
I am
just-
glad you didn't send me the poster.
You are?
Well, rage and anger are not how a mother wishes to remember her son. I had enough of them without a poster to remind me.
Well, he's just playing a part in that picture. It's him, but it's not him. It's him as someone else.
No, we all play parts. Some of them we play so long and so well we become the parts. I'm Andre's mother. You won't let me be anyone else. You can't. I can't either. You're Andre's friend. You always will be.
We've gotten very good at playing those parts.
I was still a young woman when Andre died.
I realize that now.
Now,
I'm just about the same age you were when Andre died. I was very cruel about age back then. Most young people are. I judged you harshly, too harshly perhaps. We're still not the same age, but closer. Closer.
well, thank you for not saying you and Mr. Gerard have your golden years ahead of you. Mr. Gerard passed at Easter.
I didn't know that.
Well, you didn't ask, and there's no reason you would.
Well, I'm very sorry to hear it.
Oh, everyone dies sooner or later. Even 29-year-old, perfectly healthy, beautiful young men.
They shouldn't.
Maybe I should find another husband and pick up where I left off and adopt a child and start a new family.
It was 8 years before I met Will, Mrs. Gerard.
Or maybe I should just get it over with and jump out the window. Well, I live in the tallest condominium in Dallas. That should do the trick. Thank you for asking, Mr. Porter. Andre's mother is doing just fine.
I am so sorry, Mrs. Gerard. How could I have known? Penny should have told me.
Penny didn't know. The morning paper said Mr. Gerard died after a long struggle with illness. I would have said after perpetual disappointment with life. He is survived by a wife, Catherine, a Yankee humdinger who never fit, a son, Andre, 29, died after a short struggle with a summer cough.
That's what we all thought at first.
I never felt at home in Texas.
I don't think Andre did either.
I don't like gratuitous familiarity. How you all doing today, darling? You all come back now, sugar, you hear? Oh, I never got used to that, even being called that from a checkout girl, black or white. But that's neither here nor there. How long have you and,
Will.
I'm sorry, Will.
Will Ogden.
How long have you and Mr. Ogden been together?
It'll be 11 years this summer.
You and Andre?
We had 6 years together.
That many?
I wouldn't call 6 years many. Not when you plan on spending the rest of your life with someone. I think that you should have the poster, Mrs. Gerard.
I wouldn't know what to do with it, Mr. Porter. I'm downsizing my things, my life, everything.
My dad downsized after his lady friend passed.
His lady friend?
Well, I was very little when my mother passed. I never knew her. My dad raised Penny and me. Eventually he met someone, a widow. Neither of them saw the point in getting married. It rocked Bethel, New Hampshire. Most things would rock Bethel, New Hampshire. It certainly did every time Andre and I visited.
Well, your father seemed like a very nice man.
Oh, he still is. He's 75 and not going anywhere in the foreseeable future. His dad made it to 91. He died tapping maple syrup.
Well, I thought maple syrup was Vermont.
Ugh, everyone does. Maple syrup does not recognize state lines. Ours is better.
And what about your sister?
Penny's in Soho, trying to start a family. She and her husband are having difficulty getting her
Oh,
pregnant.
well, the Christmas cards didn't mention that.
He's a Danish architect with a fairly unpronounceable name, Bjorn Bjorkenfjord.
Isn't anybody from New York anymore? In my day, everybody in New York was from New York. It's turned into a city of out-of-towners. My mistake was letting Mr. Gerard sweep me off to Texas. He said the people there would be nice and cultured. He was wrong on both counts.
I like Austin and San Antonio. My work used to take me there.
I never understood what you did.
Neither did Andre. I'm a money manager.
Well, that much I knew.
Other people's money. I could explain it, but trust me, it is very boring.
Thank you, I will.
Well, when my own brief fling as an actor was all too apparently going to end in perpetual unemployment, I surprised myself and Andre and became a yuppie. Shocked both of us when I was actually quite good at it. But since Bud, I don't travel. That was non-negotiable. I used to have a lot of clients on the West Coast.
Well, you've done very well from the look of things. You've come a long way from Perry Street.
Will's mother helped us when the building went co-op.
Oh, very generous of her.
That was Jean. We never got to pay her back. She died 3 months later.
I always told Andre the house in Dallas was his when his father and I were gone. He said, great, now can you wrap it up and send it up east? He could be very sarcastic.
I know.
He liked to tell people he went directly from his high school graduation to the Trailways bus station to New York City on his savings, which is ridiculous. He flew to New York on Braniff Airlines. Oh, do you remember Braniff Air? One of their last flights. And guess who paid for it? Sarcastic and a little uncomfortable with the truth.
Oh, dramatic exaggeration, he called it. It was never for a mean or malicious end.
We had theater in Dallas. He was very disdainful of it.
Oh, he could be a terrible snob, too.
He was barely 17 when he left Texas. That's too young to come to a city like New York.
As a young gay man, he wasn't comfortable where he was.
Andre wasn't gay when he came to New York.
Okay.
Andre came to New York to be an actor. Oh, that is a beautiful fire.
It's a gas fireplace. The logs are some kind of ceramic material.
Well, it looks very realistic.
Yeah, it doesn't give off much heat.
No, I can feel it.
If you're interested, I can find
No,
out.
thank you.
No. I suppose that air conditioning is more of a necessity where you are.
No, we have our cold spells. We call them northers, blue northers. They sweep down from the Great Plains. Some of them are merciless.
I wish you would call me Cal.
If you'd like, all right. Cal.
Thank you. And I would like to call you Catherine.
It's my name.
Well, that's settled.
And it only took 20 years. Is it warm in here? I just came by to give it to you.
Let me take your coat.
No, what time is it? I'm supposed to... If you insist. Oh, don't let the label fool you. It says Neiman Marcus, but it came from a second-hand fur shop. My husband had a heart attack when he saw it. I had to show him the receipt just to prove I hadn't bankrupted him. He could be such a Scrooge about money. Oh, I hope Andre kept his sense of humor about money. He got that from me.
Well, he always said he was more like you than Mr. Gerard.
He was, but he would have been furious if I told him that. I always thought one of the tragedies of Andre's life is that his father and he were never close.
One of the tragedies.
Maybe he'd still be alive.
I didn't kill Andre, Mrs. Gerard.
I'm not saying that, Mr. Porter.
I didn't give him AIDS.
No, the way he chose to live his life did.
It wasn't a choice.
Everything is a choice.
I didn't make him gay either.
Someone did. I always hated that word. It used to mean something nice, something joyful. A good time was had by all. We lost that battle too.
I'd say you lost every battle.
Except one. I don't have to approve.
No. I suppose you don't. Excuse me.
Wait, where are you going now? No more surprises.
There's one last thing that you should see.
Were you always this stubborn? You met your match with Andre. He'd get an idea to do something and wouldn't let go of it. Before acting, he was going to be a dancer. We took him to see a musical as a child. Oh, Pal Joey. He couldn't possibly have understood what it meant. But for the next year, he was tapping and jetéing all over Dallas.
We kept this box of odds and ends for years. We threw everything in here, photos, notes, clippings.
Oh, God, am I supposed to go through all of that?
I'm sure there's something in there you'll want.
I knew coming here was a mistake. I tried to get rid of things, not add to the heap. New buildings are merciless when it comes to closet space.
Excuse me, we're not expecting anyone.
Well, you weren't expecting me either. Oh, maybe it's your sister. I liked her the one time we met.
Yes, Louis, what is it? I've got company. If it's a delivery, then... no, Will, what's wrong? Again? I'll be right down. Will left without his keys. The doorman's on a break. I'll be right back.
I won't steal anything. Oh. Hampton Beach. It's still there. Oh, of course it's still there, Catherine. It's a beach. Beaches don't go anywhere. Oh my God, a man in a bathing suit like that in Dallas would be arrested. Oh, look how beautiful he was. Oh, a woman. Oh, how did you get in there, sweetie? Oh, here's another. Oh no, that's me. Oh, not too bad looking, Catherine. I must have been pregnant with him in this one. Who knew he had all of these? Hello.
Who are you?
I'm Andre's mother. Who are you?
I'm Bud. I live here. Who's Andre?
Andre is an old friend of your father's.
Papa?
And Mr. Porter.
Is he friend of Pappy too?
No, I don't think so.
Why not?
Is Bud giving you the third degree, Mrs. Gerard? I'm sorry, he's very inquisitive. There's never been a question he hasn't asked. Hi, I'm Will Ogden.
Where is he?
Where's who?
Andre.
I'm afraid he's passed, honey.
Pass? What does that mean? Pass?
Honey, Andre's dead.
Well, why do you say so?
It's just another way of saying it.
That's better.
Excuse how we look, Mrs. Gerard. Everything's turning into mush. Our hopes for a white Christmas, they're fading. We're gonna have to settle with the gray slushy one. We can't keep this one off the swings no matter how cold it is, huh?
We think he's got some Eskimo in it.
Oh, Bud and I know you mean Inuit, don't we, darling?
Sorry, that's a thing between the two of us. You're right, my bad, mea culpa.
Cal didn't tell us we were having company today.
Oh, he didn't know. This is an impromptu visit. I should have called first.
Oh, nonsense. You're very welcome.
Need some help with your boots, honey?
That's okay. We saw one of my teachers at the park.
So, what brings you to New York?
Nothing brings me, nothing specific.
That's all right. You don't need a reason to visit the Big Apple.
Well, I'm on my way to Europe, actually. I'm going to spend Christmas Eve in Rome.
Oh, are you Catholic?
No. Do I have to be to spend Christmas Eve in Rome?
Well, you'll love Rome at Christmas. It's magical. I spent my junior year abroad there. Trastevere is spectacular this time of year. Too many tourists miss it.
Trastevere?
Yes, it's the neighborhood across the river in Rome. Trastevere means across the Tiber. See, I had an apartment built in the 14th century. No hot water, no private bath, but a view of the 12th century convent. Ah, Trastevere, where I was young. Trastevere is where I would have got enormously fat had I stayed for 1 month more. The best restaurant in the entire world is there. I'll write the name down for you before you go. Cal, you didn't offer Mrs. Gerard anything?
I offered several times.
And I declined several times.
But this time you'll have a what, Mrs. Gerard? I hope you're not a martini sort of woman, because I haven't the slightest idea on how to make one.
I can make one. I think we have some gin.
No, my martini days are behind me. A Scotch neat I wouldn't say no to.
Doers?
That was Andre's Scotch of choice. Oh, what are you gentlemen having?
Well, Cal doesn't drink.
One too many martinis of my own.
And I never did.
Well, you're no fun, either of you. Bud, you want to tie one on with an old woman?
What's your name?
Catherine.
Your grown-up name.
Mrs. Gerard.
Where's Mr. Gerard?
Oh, he passed too.
He's dead too?
Like Andre. He died several months ago.
What happened to him?
Oh, Mr. Gerard had cancer.
What kind?
Lung cancer.
My friend Albert's mother had cancer. She has tubes and talks for me.
Oh, okay, bud, that's enough. Let Mrs. Gerard enjoy her drink.
Suddenly, I need it. Thank you, Mr. Osgood.
Oh, Ogden. Cheers.
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 How did your little boy die?
That's a long, complicated story.
Oh, well, Bud knows what AIDS is.
He told us about it at school. When did he die?
Bud, I am sorry, Mrs. Gerard.
Don't apologize for him. When he has questions.
Andre died March 29th, 1994.
That was a long time ago.
20 years. He was 29. How old are you?
How old are you?
Older than you.
Okay, young man, that's enough, huh?
I like it when he asks me questions.
Did he die of AIDS?
We're not sure.
At school, we saw a documentary about the quilt on World AIDS Day.
The quilt?
It has names of everybody who died from it.
On a quilt.
Andre's name is on it.
His full name?
It was important to me.
His first and last name?
I didn't think I needed your permission.
I'm sorry your little boy died.
So am I.
I'll let you be my grandmother. I don't have one. I've walked with aunts and uncles and godfathers and godmothers, but I don't have a grandmother. I have a grandfather in Vermont, but he can't hear anything.
Grandpa is in New Hampshire.
You don't know me well enough to be your grandmother.
I didn't know any of them before either. They always just growl. I don't even like some of them.
Well, you might not like me.
I like you. You're cool.
I like you too.
I warn you, Mrs. Gerard, he doesn't take no for an answer.
Excuse me, but, is there a little girl's room?
Yeah, of course. Right through here. Can't miss it.
The little girl's room? Does anyone still say the little girl's room?
We make her nervous.
She makes you nervous, Eskimo. Now, where did that come from?
I didn't think she'd know what Inuit meant.
Yeah, she probably doesn't, but that's beside the point. Who did you tell her Buddy and I were? Your roommates?
Very funny.
Jesus, Cal, you should have warned us.
I told you in the elevator. She just stopped by.
People live in New York so people don't stop by. They move here just so people don't stop by.
What was I supposed to do? Tell her she couldn't come up?
All these years, you've told me how much of a monster she is. You built her up into this gorgon of mythological proportions, and suddenly she just, oh, by the way, stops by.
I never thought I would see her again. I even wondered if she was still alive. She is the last person I expected to show up on our doorstep.
Oh, so what do you want me to do?
She just lost her husband. Just try to be nice to her.
I can promise civil, but not nice. She wouldn't even take my hand when I held it out, Cal.
Are you fighting?
No, honey. We're just expressing strong dismay at an unforeseen turn of events.
What does that mean?
We didn't know that Mrs. Gerard was coming by, honey.
I like her. She's nice.
She's very nice.
Mrs. Gerard's son and Pop-Up, they used to live together.
The way you and Pop-Pop live together?
Well, they weren't married.
Why not?
We didn't have a wonderful son like you.
People couldn't do that then.
Why not?
Well, the world wasn't ready for the three of us. We were waiting for you.
And we're very glad that we did.
Okay. Are we still going to trim the tree tonight?
Are we so? Absolutely. Tonight, after dinner, we're gonna put our pajamas on, and we're gonna make that tree amazing together. You're in charge of the icicles. Huh?
What are we having tonight?
Oh, spaghetti alla vongole.
How else to celebrate but your spaghetti alla vongole?
What is she still doing in there, Cal?
It has not been that long.
She's going through the medicine cabinet.
Don't be ridiculous.
Of course she is. It's human nature.
What's human nature?
It's how people are, whether they can help it or not. Your human nature is that you're gonna go take a bath. Pop-Pop's is that he's nice to everyone, even people that disapprove of him. Mine is that I'm naive enough to think I finally had heard the last of Andre.
This isn't about Andre.
I think I dealt with a man I've never met pretty goddamn well, Cal.
You have, from the very beginning.
I wasn't going to compete with the ghost.
You didn't have
But
to.
I didn't sign on for his mother.
What was I supposed to do?
Not let her into our space.
You're fighting.
No, we're not.
That is not for you, Buster.
Now look, I know that Andre was a wonderful man and he was everything that you wanted.
Yes, he was. And then I met you.
Don't.
Do you know how wonderful you are?
Yes. But she's not staying for dinner.
Did you get a haircut?
Yes, I did. A couple weeks ago. Don't change the subject.
I'm glad we're married. Are you?
Over the moon. The divorce is going to be spectacular.
That is not remotely funny. I can't imagine what my life would be without you.
Me either.
I love the wallpaper in there. It's very bold. Who's the decorator?
Well,
I'm terrible at decorating.
Come on, young man. Let's get you into the bath. You ready? Oh, too many Oreos.
You don't want to get back?
Probably not.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
It was nice meeting you, Mrs. Gerard. Say hello to Rome for me, will you?
He forgot my restaurant.
I'll get it to you.
That's all right. Idle promises. If we had a dime for every one of them we made.
I'll be sure he does.
Your young son is a very self-possessed young man. Intelligent too, I dare say.
We're very lucky. He has his terror side too. It's not all fun and games. Someone should have told us. Of course they did, but we're not very good listeners when we really want to do something.
Is he a good father?
But couldn't ask for a better one. It seems to come more naturally to Will than to me. I never expected to be a father. He never expected not to be one. Now, to imagine life without them, he always told me early in the relationship that he wanted a family. I almost bolted.
Why didn't you?
I was afraid he'd leave me. Either way, I was scared. But life without them, I didn't know who I was until our son was born. I'm so much more than I ever thought I could be. More resourceful, more interesting, more generous. I can do things I never knew that I could do before. Or maybe even a little more, less self-centered. Or maybe I'm just more delusional and haven't changed at all.
Children aren't the answer.
This child is. Did you find anything you might like?
I haven't really looked.
That was the first review we ever got. It wasn't very good. I don't know why he kept it.
I sent it to him.
Why?
I was proud of him. I didn't care what some critic thought.
Oh. That was us in Paris.
American men shouldn't wear berets. It makes them look desperate.
Desperate.
To be something they're not.
And what is that?
French.
Well, we outgrew our beret phase pretty quickly. They made their last appearance one Halloween when we went as Jean-Paul Sartre and Simone de Beauvoir.
Oh, interesting choice.
Yeah, too interesting. Our friends thought we were Yves Montand and Simone Signoret.
Who went as Sartre?
Andre.
Oh,
I was Simone.
I don't suppose there's a picture.
I don't know, they're all mixed up. He would throw everything in there. I told him he needed an album, a scrapbook.
I hope if I find something I like, you're not going to say you're an Indian giver and will want it back. Oh, is that politically incorrect? Indian giver?
Yes. But your secret is safe with me, just as I hope my Eskimo is safe with you.
I don't understand.
I should have said Inuit, but I didn't think you would know what it meant.
Living in Texas has not made me a complete Neanderthal.
Will was right to call me out on it, especially in front of Bud. We have set standards for him, and they mean absolutely nothing unless you maintain them 24/7. I still get hung up on words like Madam Chairman. It seems to come so easily to his generation. I still have to work at it. I expect you do too.
Where was this one taken?
Nantucket.
Oh, that's la-di-da.
Well, parts of Nantucket maybe, not that one. We rented an apartment behind a dry cleaners for 2 weeks.
No, if you were raised in Port Chester, New York, all of Nantucket is extremely la-di-da.
I thought you were from Rye.
Oh, they're practically cheek by jowl. They're really interchangeable.
Andre said you used to tell everyone in Texas that you were from Rye, New York.
Until just now, I thought that was our little secret.
He would laugh about it. He'd say, as if anyone can tell the difference between Port Chester and Rye, Cal.
I did, you do.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, well, I'm glad it amused you. I wonder how many of our other little secrets he shared.
I'm sure that was the only one. He was never disrespectful.
I suppose I should be grateful for small blessings.
Even when you didn't come.
Who are these people?
Oh, that's some of Will's family.
There's a lot of them.
I've lost count of how many uncles and aunts and nephews and nieces and first cousins and second cousins there are. I've started to measure my life in terms of Ogden family gatherings. There's not a month that passes without a graduation, recital, some contribution to the tooth fairy. I mean, I always wanted a big family. It was Penny and me growing up. I just never thought it was possible. And all of a sudden, I had an enormous one all at once. And soon enough, Will and I were starting one of our own. Here, I'll take these. I don't know how they got in there.
We were a small family. Too small. I was an only child. My husband was an only child. Andre was an only child. Christmas Eve, we'd sit around just looking at one another. The presents were open by 10. We'd end up watching midnight mass from St. Patrick's just for something to do.
So that's why Andre always wanted to turn it on.
Let me finish, Mr. Porter, please. And then one day there was a phone call, and it was you telling me Andre was gone. I think I knew. I almost didn't answer it. And so now there were just two of us, and then Mr. Gerard up and dies, and there was one. Well, I say up and dies, no one up and dies. He'd been sick for years. We both knew it was coming, but still, when it does,
Yes.
soon enough there will just be none. The end of the line. There are no more where the Gerards came from. It's very sad when you think about it. You and Mr. Ogden don't have to worry about that.
Well, that's not why Will and I chose to be a family.
It's not?
No, I told you why.
Well, not really. Who's this?
A friend of Andre's, Jeb. He was an actor too. They met in Summerstock in the Berkshires. Will and I chose to be a family because we wanted to share the happiness we feel as a couple with a child, along with the good fortune and privileges we enjoy.
Well, there are many children out there who would enjoy the advantages of a good home and what you call your good fortune and privilege.
We didn't want to adopt.
Well, I'm not criticizing. Was he, this Jeb, a lover?
For a summer. Andre always said it was more of a fling than a relationship. It was before me, obviously. I think you met him. He was at the memorial.
Then he isn't the one who gave Andre AIDS.
No.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Well, who do you think did that?
I don't know.
What do you mean you
I
don't
don't know.
Well, didn't you ask him?
No. I thought about it. I thought about it quite frequently. In fact, I made myself sick thinking about
I
it.
would have asked him and he would have answered me.
Well, I didn't. I thought about it. And did it ever occur to you that maybe he didn't know? It could have been any one of us. We were all suspect. I had myself tested at least once a month, just in
In
case.
case of what?
Just in case. I don't know. I had to be sure. For me, for Andre.
No, I would have found the person who did that to Andre and killed him.
Well, we didn't.
Well, maybe you should have.
I fantasized about it.
Fantasized?
I had my suspicions.
Suspicion.
That's all they were. No, not even that.
And you didn't do anything about it.
I was in enough pain of my own. Andre was dying. I couldn't save him. Everybody was dying. I couldn't save any of them. Nothing could. Something was killing us. Something ugly. Everybody talked about it, but nobody did anything. What good would killing one another have accomplished? There was so much fear and anger in the face of so much death, and no one was helping us. There was no time for hate. We learned to help each other. Help each other in ways we never had before. It was the first time I felt a part of something, a community. So thank you for that, I suppose. I wanted to kill the world when Andre was diagnosed, but I took care of him instead. I bathed him, I cleaned him up, and I told him that I loved him, even when he was ashamed of what this disease had done to him. He wasn't very beautiful when he died. Mrs. Gerard, our very own plague, took care of that. Andre had slept with someone other than me, but I had to forgive him. He was one of the unlucky ones. I'm not saying your son was promiscuous, Mrs. Gerard.
I'm sure he was.
But he wasn't faithful either. Monogamous. Of course, we'd never taken marriage vows. We weren't allowed to do that. That wasn't even a possibility. Relationships like mine and Andre's weren't supposed to last. We didn't deserve the dignity of marriage. Maybe that's why AIDS happened.
Oh, I remember this as a girl. Don't tell me. Our class went on a field trip.
It's Independence Hall in Philadelphia.
I asked you not to tell me. Of course, the Liberty Bell.
Actually, Andre put me at risk.
Oh my God, this man isn't wearing any clothes.
I didn't know we would be doing this.
I hope I'm not going to find a picture of my son.
Did you hear what I said?
Yes, they're all so young. Everyone.
I'm sorry
so
I told you.
young.
I don't think he could help himself.
I'd like this one. I always liked Andre in a tie and jacket.
Which was almost never. We must have been going somewhere fancy.
I'd like this one too. I like it. I really like it. May I?
Take as many as you want. We are the only two people in the world that they mean anything to.
Thank you.
Papa?
It's your turn. He wants you.
Well, we have company.
Papa?
Cal's Pop-Up and I'm Pappy.
Oh, as in Little Abner.
As in who?
No one remembers Little Abner.
I do. What's wrong?
Well, you bought the wrong bubbles.
Sorry, excuse me, I'll be right back. Him and those fucking bubbles. I'm coming, honey!
I'm sorry, but I don't think language like that's appropriate when a child may be present.
What, honey? Oh, fucking. Sorry, I couldn't agree more. You know, Our one hard and fast is not in front of the Bambino. Of course, honey still turns a few heads when we use it in public. We need paper towels, honey, aisle 7. Of course, they're just words. The sight of 2 men hand in hand with a small child waiting for the light to turn on Central Park West still rattles the occasional cage. Gay dads still merit more than a passing interest, even in the metropolis known as Manhattan. Let me refresh your drink
No, I
for
should
you.
be getting on.
Cal will blame me if you're not here when he
Have you
comes
thought
out.
about what you're going to tell the boy when he asks? And he is going to ask. You can be sure of it.
The boy. You mean Bud? Asks what?
Who he is, where he comes from.
We're dealing with it. Little by little, a day at a time.
I wonder
What do you wonder?
if that will be enough.
We're going to be fine. Thank you.
You're very confident.
So are you.
How did you 2 gentlemen meet?
Well, first of all, thank you for not saying boys.
No, obviously you're not, either one
I'm
of you.
serious. Do you boys have plans for the holidays? Are either of you boys going home for them? You'd be surprised how often we hear boys, so thank you.
Well, clearly there's an age difference.
15 years. I was born in
No, you can
19
spare me the math.
You're prickly.
Mr. Porter and Andre were the same age.
Well, I never let Cal forget I'm younger than him. Keeps him on his toes. I'm just waiting for the day he comes home with an earring and a tattoo and a... Should I alert you when I'm bantering?
You have a beautiful place.
Thank you. We like it. Could use a makeover, but we've decided to let Bud play out his havoc with it for a couple more years before we get serious about redecorating.
I understand you're a writer. I still don't understand what Mr. Porter does for a living.
Neither do I. Something to do with money, managing other people's, and lots of it. Bud and I are very well provided for. He's at a great school. I'm at home all day working on my novel when I'm not doing one of the million things it is that a parent does. That's what I am, a novelist.
Would you have written a novel I might have read?
Oh, yes, but not yet.
You are confident.
Not really. I had a couple short stories published. Do you read The New Yorker?
I'm a subscriber. I like to keep up.
Oh, well, they published one of my short stories last summer. It was called Diamond Head. Had nothing to do with Hawaii. Took place in Brooklyn, in a 24-hour diner called Diamond Head. Everyone was very alienated. It was actually pretty depressing.
I generally don't read their fiction. I stopped after Salinger.
That was before I was born. Anyway, the short stories are sort of a muscle flexing for my novel. At least that's what my agents call them. It will be my first.
Oh, does it have a title?
Yes, but I'm not going to tell you because it's bad luck.
Oh. Well, the world loves a good novel. We're still waiting for the great American one.
Well, I'm going to give it my best shot. Hey, you guys okay there?
I thought writers needed quiet, concentration.
Oh, they do, but it's in short supply when you have a 6-year-old. You know, everybody said we would need a nanny for Bud, so we tried one out, but it turns out we like doing everything ourselves, so we let her go. You know, the great American novel can wait. Who knows, maybe I'll find a way before then. Anyway, to answer your question, Cal and I met online.
I don't understand.
We met on the internet.
Oh, I'm completely in the dark when it comes to internets.
Oh, well, it's how people meet now. There's something for everyone. You got your foxy ladies, your Christian couples, your Mormon, you name it. I mean, it's not very romantic, but gets the job done. I saw Cal's picture, and then I read his profile, and it said that Moby Dick was his favorite book, and I am a sucker for men who like Melville every time, especially men who look like Cal, and their favorite singer is Ella Fitzgerald. Anyway, so about 30 minutes later, we met at Gray's Papaya on Broadway and West 72nd Street, a place even less romantic than Manhunt. He was eating a hot dog, and even with his back turned, I knew it was him. You know, I went in, I went up to the counter, I ordered, took this deep breath, and turned to this perfect stranger and said, "Call me Ishmael." Cal doesn't believe in love at first sight, you know. He thinks love takes time. I think it is all in the first time you look into each other's eyes. If they're not looking back at you, it's not going to happen.
Is one of you the father?
We both are.
No, I mean the actual father.
We both are.
Everything I say is inappropriate.
It's uninformed. What do you want to know?
I'm just trying to determine if one of you is the biological father.
Well, we used my sperm. We thought it would be healthier, me being younger, and the eggs of an anonymous donor. Once the magic happened in the petri dish, our lesbian friend Roberta carried Bud to term. Only we didn't know he was going to be a son. You know, Cal didn't want to know the sex. He wanted to be surprised. I couldn't wait. I was into the whole baby thing from day one. I mean, I loved everything about it. The doctors, the tests, the procedures, sonograms, the waiting rooms, the other parents-to-be, straight and gay. It was just amazing, all of it. You know? I mean, I was a gay man, and I was going to be a father. I wanted to tell everybody, and I probably did. Hey, I'm a gay man, and I'm going to be a father! It's just joyous being a parent, you know? And sometimes I look at Bud, and I just start crying. And sometimes he catches me. "What's the matter, Pappy?" "Nothing, honey. I'm so happy that you're here."
So there's really nothing of Andre in him, is there?
Well, why would there be?
Of course not. What a foolish thing to say.
He's wearing his goggles and seeing how long he can hold his breath underwater. We found the right bubbles.
Oh.
The Toile de Paris.
Who sent him that stuff anyway? Which one of his fairy godfathers?
Oh, Jeremy.
Oh. We're raising Bud to be gay. It's our only expectation of him. God forbid we allow him to be who he wants to be, Mrs. Gerard.
Will is kidding, of course. We are not raising him anything.
Andre loved bubble baths.
Oh, there you go.
Will,
What are you doing here, Mrs. Gerard? What is it that you want? It's suspiciously quiet in the bathroom all of a sudden. I'm turning into my mother.
Oh, I thought only women turned into their mothers.
Oh yeah, well, men have gotten real good at it. Oh, don't let me forget to give you the name of that restaurant. Coming, Bud!
My mother was a very nice person. Everyone adored her, especially Andre.
Andre tried to communicate with you.
Oh, no, he didn't. He led his secret, furtive life up here and kept his father and me in the dark. He thought he was fooling us. His father, maybe, but not me. I knew. I always knew.
Your disapproval frightened him. And it's making me sick to my stomach all over again. You haven't changed.
People don't change. That's one of the lies we tell ourselves.
People have to want to change.
Oh, well, maybe that's it.
Oh, that's honest.
This was a bad idea. I could just as easily have sent it back to you.
I'm not sure I even want it. Andre would have killed me for sending it to you. He didn't believe that people kept diaries for other people to read.
Oh, well, that's popular opinion.
He believed that people needed someplace safe from other people.
I sat with it for hours, holding it, pressing it to my heart, but never opening it.
Neither did I. When he was alive or when he was gone.
You should have destroyed it.
Didn't have that right. I still don't. I loved him, but I didn't want to know his secrets.
So you sent them on to me?
Thought someday they might find their way back to me.
Only if I brought them.
Figured this day might come.
Well, we both did.
I guess I've been expecting.
I almost didn't come this time either.
Either.
No, our last trip to New York I called. When you answered, I hung up, and I don't speak to answering machines. Another time someone else answered,
Will, probably.
and I found out what I wanted to. You weren't alone anymore.
I was alone. For 8 years, 8 shitty years, when all I learned was how to make money.
And then there was Papaya House and Moby Dick.
He told me.
The gist. Just the gist.
I was embarrassed about Will at first. Not his age. He worries about that more than I do, but he knew what he was getting into. But about us. Felt like a betrayal of Andre. Even after 8 years, how could I have loved Andre the way that I did if I can love Will the way that I do now?
Yes, how can you?
I don't know. I don't pretend to understand these things. I honestly believe that Andre sent Will to me.
I wish he would do the same for his mother.
Would you let him?
I don't know how my life turned out like this. I don't know what I am supposed to think or feel anymore. I am confused. I'm frightened. I am angry about almost everything. I could let that chair throw me into a rage. Thank God for Jeopardy! And almost that started to annoy me. I have begun taking the bus everywhere just because it takes longer than if I drive myself, and it's usually late, which makes me angry. People like me don't take the bus in Dallas, Mr. Porter. Buses are for help. And when I get to wherever it is I'm going, I find I can't bring myself to leave wherever it is I'm gone.
I've noticed that.
I really have thought about taking my own life. I'm a widow. My only child predeceased me, no grandchildren. I don't like most people, and I think it's a pretty safe assumption to say most people don't like me. I'm not a joiner. My eyes are going, so reading is hard. I don't like to cook. I never did. I always dreaded mealtime. Now I detest it. I could go on. So does it really matter if I draw another breath?
That's a very poor solution, Mrs. Gerard.
It's a good thing you're not a therapist. A woman on television drank a bottle of Clorox. It didn't work. They rescued her. Go to all of that trouble to kill yourself, and they rescued you. Well, I thought it was funny. It's a stupid show. They're all stupid.
Have you ever been in therapy?
The notion of spilling my guts to a perfect stranger and then having him charge me for the What, are you going to charge me for all of this? I don't know why I said any of it. Forget I told you anything. What about those Yankees?
Andre thought of suicide when things got really bad. I'm very glad he didn't. I know, that's selfish of me. We stuck it out together. Some together. They very nearly killed him, trying to keep him alive. They put him through hell, trying to find a cure. They didn't care how they went about it. That's not fair. They were desperate to find one. Time wasn't on our side. One of our best friends was diagnosed 18 years ago, 2 years after Andre died. He's skiing in Park City even as we speak. Today, Andre, if we were alive, we probably wouldn't have a child. There might be a Tony on the mantelpiece. He was good, Mrs. Gerard, really, really good. You should have come up that summer he played Hamlet. We'd have celebrated our 25th anniversary doing our best to grow old gracefully together. I don't know what else to tell you, Mrs. Gerard. This wasn't supposed to happen. This was just supposed to be another day.
Do you ever worry about forgetting him?
Sometimes, but not the important things. Sometimes I panic that I can't remember the color of his eyes.
Gray.
Well, now he's got his snorkel on and he's practicing his dead man's float, so you don't have a heart attack if you go in and find him like that. I got the restaurant written down for you, Mrs. Gerard. Il Gatto Bianco, the White Cat, just past the Piazzas and... I'm sorry, am I interrupting?
Your husband was just telling me what he thinks of me.
Oh, what is that?
That's not true.
That I'm a horrible woman. That men are noble, good. Men are to be loved. Women, especially mothers, are evil, cunning, vile even. Pity the poor young man who has a mother like Andre's. He was doomed to a life of AIDS.
This is unspeakable. I had hoped that you'd let Andre go, that you had accepted some part of our loss.
Our loss? It will never be our loss. You lost a man and quickly found other men. I lost a son.
I am sorry. I will always
No,
be sorry.
Not good enough. The two of you, this fancy apartment, a child of your own that will no doubt grow up to cure cancer and take the men's title in Wimbledon. Any mother would be proud to have a child like that. Maybe I'll get another one myself. How much do they cost? What other tangible evidence of your happiness haven't you shown me? Why did your life get better after Andre died and mine got worse? Why haven't you been punished?
I cannot help you, Mrs. Gerard.
Cal, just talk to her.
Bud, you in there? You're going to turn into a prude.
I know that we can't understand your loss, Mrs. Gerard, but we are trying to respect it. If anything had happened to me before my mother died, I always thought she was worried it would. So were a lot of parents. I think she was relieved as much as anything when I met Cal. You know, loss, it's a terrible word.
I know what loss means.
Well, try to respect Cal's. He's lost more than your son. He's lost a generation. People who might have mattered. Hamlets, Nereyevs, Melvilles, Whitmans, young men who wanted to write the great American novel too.
Why are you telling me this?
Because I think people like Cal have been punished enough, Mrs. Gerard. You know, I try to imagine what those years were like for him and Andre, but I don't get too far. You know, maybe I don't want to. You see, the mind, it shuts down, or the capacity to care is one real way of dealing with it.
No, I don't have that luxury.
Of course you don't. Neither does Cal. What happened to gay men in the final decades of the 20th century? Oh, first it will be a chapter in a history book, then a paragraph, then a footnote. People will shake their heads and say, what a terrible thing, how sad, it's already started to happen. I can feel it happening. All the raw edges of pain just dulled, deadened, drained away.
I know what I did wrong. I didn't go out and find another Andre just as soon as I could.
I am not another Andre, Mrs. Gerard.
No one knows that better than I. It is presumptuous of you to think you could ever take his place.
Cal didn't want another Andre.
There is no other Andre, just mine. And he is gone forever, and I will mourn him forever. I don't want peace. I don't want closure, another word I detest. I want revenge. I am my own Hamlet. Take my picture. I'm a poster. Vengeance!
You won't find that here.
Then where?
I don't know. But not in our home.
Oh, this is not a home. It's an apartment. I hate it when people call their homes apartments.
Hate. You know you say hate a lot.
I detest imprecision. You're a writer. So should you.
I told him he could stay in for another 5 minutes. We don't have a child, we have a fish.
I still want to know what you're going to tell that boy when he grows out of bathtubs.
I told you.
Oh, that is easier said than done, Mr.
Ogden.
Mr. Ogden. It is easier said than done.
What's this? AG?
A diary, a journal that Andre kept. I sent it to Mrs. Gerard quite a few years ago. She's returning it to me.
I bought it for him for his 18th birthday.
I didn't know that.
He hated the initials on the cover. He thought they were tacky. I thought they were classy. AG. It's the very last trace of him that he ever existed.
There's not a day I don't think of him.
Oh. How does that make Mr. Porter's second husband feel?
Oh, I'm Cal's first husband. I like precision too.
I stand corrected.
You know, Mrs. Gerard, I'm happy Cal was in a good relationship before he met me. If you're wondering if I'm jealous, I am. A little bit. Cal and I, we weren't young together. I didn't get to see him screw things up the way he gets to see me screw up. He was all happy and evolved and perfect and his own man before I ever came along, and you know, I'm sure that Andre had a lot to do with that.
He did. What are you doing?
Well, aren't you curious? It's very legible handwriting. 4th of July weekend, the Pines. Parker lent us his house while he's on jury duty.
What are the Pines?
A community on Fire
A
Island.
gay community. I told my mother I was on the Cape, as if she knew what the Pines were, let alone Fire Island. The Pines is the new Port Chester. Lord, what fools we mortals be.
Oh, I knew there'd be something about me in there and not flattering.
It's a beautiful day. Enjoy it while it lasts. Rain tomorrow. Right now, the ocean is blue. Perfect surf. I didn't want to get out, but I have to run lines. It's my first Albie. The theater said he's coming. All the way to Providence, really? And I want to be good. There's a beautiful sailboat way out on the horizon. Parker has great binoculars. Probably on its way to Nantucket or Martha's Vineyard. Anyway, I'm just breathing and feeling the sun and enjoying the sea breeze and wondering why life can't always be like this. The cute guy in the house next door just came out onto his deck again. To be continued. It's been more than 10 minutes. This is between the both of you.
Bud likes one of us to dry him after his tub.
Andre liked my mother to dry him off after a tub as well. She'd put him on the top of the toilet seat and put a bath towel between his two legs and go back and forth with it. Seesaw, she'd go, seesaw. I didn't approve. I don't think it's appropriate to touch a child down there. I don't know why I said that. And no, I don't think Andre turned out gay because my mother put a towel between his legs and went seesaw, seesaw.
I wasn't going to say that.
No, but it's what you thought I was thinking.
Nothing made Andre gay.
I didn't.
Read. From anywhere.
Kansas City. We're a hit. The local cricket said I had a lot of promise. We used to call them crickets and
I know.
promise, and predicted a bright future. I can't.
He's your son.
Cal bought a Nordic track and is taking lots of vitamins. I think he's scared. We both know I've put him at risk, but we don't talk about it. It's just there, our own elephant in the room. I'm not a bad person, just an imperfect one. Cal deserved so much better than me. Should I stop? One day we know we're going to beat this. The next I'm dying. Cal is a rock. I'm blessed. My family wouldn't be able to handle it.
I wasn't a rock, but I'm glad he thought so.
Meet the cleanest young man on Central Park West. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. You clean up pretty good for a little boy, buddy, bud.
I'm not a little boy, I'm almost 7.
Oh,
Do you like our apartment? At Thanksgiving parade, Spider-Man is so close to our window, you can almost touch him.
well, you're lucky you have 2 dads to keep you from falling out.
Can I have a cookie?
You know where they are.
Would you like something, Andre's mother?
No, thank you. What? I'd like you to call me Catherine.
Pappy?
Sure.
I should be going. I'm going to be late.
For what? You said you don't have any friends in the big, cold city.
The Algonquin and I aren't complete strangers. The Dorothy Parker suite and I have become very good friends.
Andre loved Dorothy Parker.
Who do you think got him reading her?
Well, our doorman will call you a cab. Unfortunately, this is the worst time of day for one. They all have their off-duty lights on.
Pappy! Pappy!
Oh, I got it. Pappy's coming. Oh, honey.
You should have held me that day in the park. I'd lost Andre too. Instead, you made me feel ashamed and unwanted, just as you'd made Andre feel. We weren't strong against people like you back then. You held all the cards. He wanted your love his whole life, so much that he had to pretend he didn't. So did I that day. God, forgive me. I wanted you to love me for loving Andre. I wanted to forgive you. I don't anymore. I don't care. If you hadn't done this thing, I wonder if I ever would have thought of you again. No offense, but I don't think that news of your passing will make the New York Times, Mrs. Gerard. And then there truly will be only one. It really is sad when you think about it. But this thing isn't over. This thing that brought us all together and can still tear us apart. Young men are still falling in love. And some of them, yes, are still being infected, and yes, some of them are still dying. If anything like this happened to Bud, or sure, to Will, there's still that possibility, I would be devastated. But I would not reject either one of them. I am Will's husband, not his judge. I am Bud's father, not his scourge. If that were my son, wasting, writhing, incoherent, incontinent, in that bed in St. Vincent's, I would want him to know how much I loved him. How much I would always love him. I did the best I could for Andre. I hope to this day that it was enough. No. Being a parent has made me quite defenseless. I am glad I don't want anything from you anymore. I'll get your coat.
I couldn't hold you that day in the park when I should have had my own son to hold. I still can't.
Oh, for God's sake, woman. Reach out to someone. Let someone in.
There is so much I want to say. And it's not about Andre. It's about me, and only me. Me, as if I were the only person on the planet, which is what I have felt all of my life. So there were other people, a mother, a father, a husband, but that didn't matter. I was still alone. And then there was Andre, and I thought everything would be fine. He was going to fix it. It didn't even come close. Well, maybe when he fell and I soothed him until he stopped crying, I felt a connection. When he was in pain, I was his mother. When he needed me, like what's going on in there. Don't mistake that for love. It means comfort. It means concern. It doesn't mean love. I watched Andre give our dog more of himself than he ever gave me.
We've all felt that. That's just human nature being ridiculous.
Oh, he was an old dachshund going gray. Andre tried to dye him with some of my old hair coloring. It didn't work.
That does sound like Andre.
I'm the only one who thought Andre was a difficult child. He was smarter than everyone else. He had secrets. I was afraid of him. He could be so remote. He would go places in his mind I didn't know, but I wanted him to take me with him, away from Dallas and a husband I didn't love and never tried to love. But he was unlovable. Some people are, you know. I've turned into one. But I would have married anyone who took me out of Port Chester, even if it was just across the railroad tracks to ride. But Mr. Gerard wanted to go west, young man, which is ridiculous because he wasn't young. Dallas isn't west, it's Dallas. I am a Yankee. I remain one. I need 4 seasons. I need people to know what time it is. I don't suffer fools. I was a smart young woman. Oh. I thought I was going to die with that secret. My father worked in a post office. My mother spent her days ironing and baking and cleaning. We ate on a table covered with an oilcloth. With my Portchester High diploma, I went to work for a dentist, Dr. Minnerly. Oh, Dr. Payne, his patients called him. He didn't believe in Novocaine. I hated him, and I hated my job. Oh, you can tell your husband I know how often I use that word. He didn't score any points there. Every week, I saved my money until I had enough to buy an evening gown that would get me into the Rye Country Club spring dance where I knew I would meet my savior. I did. I got him to marry me like that. Oh, and I didn't get knocked up to get him to do it like most of my girlfriends. I turned on the charm. I can, when I want. I've shown you a glimpse of it. Oh, and I always had good legs. I still do. Andre got his legs from me. He had beautiful legs for a man.
Yes, he did.
And I thought I could be happy for a bit. I don't know what I mean by happy now, but then I meant content, not jealous, able to stop jiggling. I'm a nervous woman, Mr. Porter. I still can't cross my legs without jiggling. Andre once said to me, "Mom, you look like a woman in heat when you pump your legs like that." He could be quite fresh. I wanted to slap him. And then out of the blue, he decided he wanted to be an actor. Drama club, acting lessons, singing, dancing. I was his chauffeur through all of that. I read a lot of good books waiting for Andre. Our gray dachshund happily drooling on the seat beside me. I got presents. I got thank yous. I got I love you. But I never got him. I got everything but him. He was supposed to let me love him the way I'd never been loved. I was going to make him happy the way I'd never been. And then he was off to New York. Suddenly, he had a life of his own. It had nothing to do with me. All I was Andre's mother, the woman who bore him. He wrote something to me once when he wasn't much older than your boy. God bless the Lord. God bless my mommy. She has good things in her oven.
That's lovely.
I was Andre's mother to him, just as much as I was to any of his little friends. Can I have a cookie, Andre's mother? Yes, if you call me Mrs. Gerard. They never did. I wasn't a person to them either. I was Andre's mother. I got pregnant when Andre was 4. I aborted it. I never told anyone. I was waiting for the right time to tell Andre it was going to be our final secret together.
Andre loved you.
We all say we love someone. Words are the bridge we build across the void, desperate to believe that it's not there. I love you is the best we've come up with for pretending.
I don't agree with you.
I'm almost done, Mr. Porter. And just like that, he was in New York. And then there was a friend, who became a roommate, who became a lover.
That would be me, Catherine.
You took him away from me forever.
All you had to do was open your heart
I
to him.
can't. I still can't. I don't know why. I don't care why anymore. It sickens me. After all of these years, it still sickens me.
What is it? Two men being intimate, sucking, fucking, doing the things that all people do and are never going to
It's
stop.
all of it. What kind of life is that child going to have?
A better life than Andre's. A better life than yours.
I only did one thing to Andre that I'm ashamed of. If he were here, I would fall on my knees and ask him to forgive me. He'd gone to New York. I called him up. It was late, very late. I woke him. What's wrong, Mom? Are you okay? I was laughing. I was crying. I had been drinking. I said, honey, your mom let a man pick her up at the Adolphus Hotel, and he drove me in his car to the very edge of Dallas where it's still dark and woody, and he started making love to me. I couldn't go through with it. I asked him to take me back to town. He could have been nasty about it, but he wasn't. I think he was married too. So, what do you think of your old lady now, kiddo? Somebody still wants to fuck her. He didn't say anything. After a while, one of us hung up. We never talked about it. I won't ask you if he told you that story.
Thank you.
And then, after his father's first surgery for lung cancer, I told you there was only one thing, Mr. Porter. I lied. There are two. Things that can never be taken back. I found Andre in the visitor's lounge. He'd been crying. I said to him, I know why you're crying, honey. You're not crying for your father. You're crying because of what you are.
I know, Mrs. Gerard. He called me from a payphone just afterwards. He was pretty devastated.
Can you imagine a mother saying that to her son, to her only child?
I'll get your coat.
Please.
I don't want the journey.
I don't either. Thank you.
Ta-da! In lieu of martinis, Master Bud Ogden Porter will be serving Oreos and milk this evening.
Oh, evening. It's really late. I should be going.
Oh, honey, your head, look, pop, see.
Happy fixed it.
Did he kiss it and make it go away?
That's for little boys.
Of course I did.
Is he okay?
Yes, just a little scratch. The chair's too wobbly to stand on. I told you this would happen.
Here, I was crying too. These won't make you stop. They're Oreos.
Oh, thank you. I think they have Oreos everywhere.
You don't have to be my grandmother if you don't want. They're really good, Catherine.
Okay, but that's enough.
What did you call me?
I'm sorry. You're Andre's mother.
No, I'm Catherine. Thank you, Bud. Well, this is an excellent Oreo. I think it may be the best Oreo ever. I'm sure of it.
Aren't you going to drink your milk?
It's ice cold, just the way it should be. Excellent.
You have a milk mustache.
So do you.